because not everybody's gonna. I can't probably walk up to Jay and be like, "Yo, Jay, how did you structure that Rockefeller deal?" You know what I'm saying? How did you guys get all these partnerships? But when you look at the Carter Empire, when you look at the work that Beyonce is doing and how she
Welcome
negotiates
to
the
another
price.
episode of Bet on T, Craig. We are here to not only bestow upon you the wisdom that we've collected over the last couple of years, but to make sure that we're having a high level conversation. And so I'm here with the one and only Chase Sloan.
How you doing, Randy? How are you?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling blessed and highly favored.
Come,
So,
come on,
what I'm saying? I just,
Jesus.
yeah, we
I
good.
like
We
it.
good.
We're a
We
little bit
good.
more comfortable today. It's a little chilly in Houston, so
It's
I
real chilly,
I appreciate the sweater.
real windy. It's something serious.
Tell me what's going on, man.
You know, life, life and business. Life and business. That's it.
You know that I say that's what we talk about. We talk about.
It's water in these cups. It's in both cups. It's just water.
We got to make sure that you guys understand that. But we talk about that a lot. We talk about life, we talk about real estate, talk about business, talk about how it just kind of all connects. So it's okay that you had, a life kind of week.
No, it's been good though. Nothing to complain about. So
I like it.
we
I
just got to
like it.
keep pushing forward.
I like it. What we jumping into today, Randy?
We want to talk about sellers and we want to talk about the economic. I won't say economic system, not that, but just though we just want to get into the economics of what the market is doing. And
Absolutely.
so we can actually dive deep and have a conversation around that so people can focus on their economy and not the entirety of the world, considering that what is your money looking like, not the trillions of dollars in circulation still. So,
Absolutely. I'm actually super excited about it. So this is kind of when I geek out a little bit because I'm kind of a data nerd. We talked about that last episode, how data tells a story. So if
mhm.
you want to be able to make informed, educated decisions, you have to know the data. So that's why we started introducing the language of real estate, the things that we look at when we are educating our clients to make a decision. And can I just first of all go on record and say that we had a meeting with Patrick Jankowski. He's the chief economist of Greater Houston Partnership. It's a whole lot of names and a whole lot of words. Basically, he laid it out on what's happening in Houston and
Mhm.
why, by the numbers and by the data, Houston is that girl. And it's not just because of our food scene, Randy,
Let them know.
even though it's because of our food scene. Shout out to all the restaurant owners and
Business owners,
business
aspiring
owners,
business owners, food trucks, they got
everything.
it going on.
I mean, we had there was a college basketball playoff, and we got to host the city. I love that Houston is becoming America's host. Your
One
best friend want to live here. Tell him
one
to call us first.
one game at a time.
Uh-huh.
Somebody called Drake to purchase that home. I just want to put that on record.
I think you should tell a friend to tell a friend should bet on T. Craig. But for sure, let's jump into the numbers. So we said that we're going to talk about. So let's go back. Let's back it up a little bit and talk about why did I say that Houston is that girl and that there's opportunity for sellers right now in this market. So
Mhm.
we already know that November to March, that's when people start thinking about moving.
Mhm.
Okay, now you may not have taken action, but you're starting to think about it. Should we do it? Because we're getting ready to go into spring season, which is generally peak season for home sellers. You have more people in the market, more people are looking to make decisions before the summer starts and vacations. It just, weather's warm,
Right.
those people that weren't comfortable selling during the winter months because of Thanksgiving and Christmas don't want people in your house. Well, now they're getting ready to decide whether or not it makes sense to list a home to sell.
Mhm.
So Patrick, he just really just laid it out, and here's number one. What I want to go ahead and preface this with: we believe that people grow into the conversations around them, and the way that you get better at understanding data and understanding the language of real estate, what's happening in Houston, is simply by listening to conversations. And so I want to give you grace and give you permission to just let the video play, and it's okay. You can ask us if you have any questions. However, the reason why we study this is so that, like I said, we know why Houston is hot. So, something that they talked about, number one, there are a few key things that Patrick talked about. One was job growth.
Right.
And something interesting that he said was in migration, not immigration.
In migration.
In migration.
Hmm.
The type of people, the number of people that are moving into Houston, whether it's from overseas or cities like New York, Atlanta, DC, Chicago, your best friend,
Even the border, mentioning the border as well.
it's, I don't know what you see, but it's becoming more frequent that when I meet people, when I'm out and about, they're not from Houston.
Right. I think it's always been very diverse, though. I think it's always been very diverse. So I think that it's just a matter of the increase of people coming here and saying that they want to be a part of this movement.
Because Houston is that girl. So let
What
me
does that
tell you
even?
why. Let me tell you why,
What does
Randy.
that mean?
They said this is what the data says. This is what the U.S. Census Bureau says that in 2022, 85,000 people moved to Houston. That's why y'all so mad on 45 and 610 because the traffic is crazy. In addition to the fact that they're constantly um, doing something to the freeway, we've got people moving in here.
Hmm.
And so I know like we like to joke talking about Houston is full, but guess what? It's not changing because the other thing that he talked about was how strong Houston's economy was, Randy.
It's strong,
It's
real strong.
strong.
It's army strong.
It's strong. One of the reasons, and here's why it's important. Like this is why when we talk about not being emotional when making a decision, it is because you have to look at the whole picture
Hmm.
when it talks about moving to a city. So why would 85,000 people move to Houston? Job growth. Talk about our industries. We already talked about restaurants, healthcare. We got
Hmm.
Texas Medical Center. We've got, I don't know if it's number one, but it probably
No,
is.
it's in competition. I mean, even one client that I had helped in, I think it was going into the summertime almost. They were moving from Ohio.
Yeah.
And so they literally were like, "Hey, like we're moving to Ohio because we just got a job offer
Hmm.
at Texas Medical Center." And I'm like, I'll look to do
Well,
my
come
best to
on,
help you." And then,
right?
you make it happen because they understood that it's continuing to grow and they're from Ohio. So
And
it's
it's going to
yeah.
continue to grow. I'm going to talk about that growth in just a second. So let me talk about our industries. We've got restaurants and bars. We've got healthcare. We've got retail. Y'all been off Westheimer. I see y'all
Hmm.
stunting in your IG. Y'all be shopping. They talked about transportation services. Houston is strong in logistics. We've got the Port of Houston. We've got a lot of trucking and
Right.
industry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like this stuff all connects. We've got arts. Mayor Turner just finished his 8-year term here in Houston, and yet one of his initiatives was to make Houston a art hub, right? So that's the theater district that you see. Real estate, manufacturing, construction, and utilities. Your gas bill, your electric bill is super, super high. These are all industries and jobs that have had job growth.
Hmm.
Okay. So the first thing that we need to establish is people have money in Houston.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it, right? Because let me tell you, the conversation that Randy and I were on today, we both was like cross-eyed, confused
He was
because it
dropping a
was.
lot of gems, though. I think it brought to the conversation of you making an informed decision based off of your economy. And the reason why this is so important is because he wasn't making these statements or claims based off of how you feel. He was making these statements because he was saying this is what the data is showing us. So even when you talk about interest rates, he said, what if hypothetically, he didn't even say hypothetically. He was saying this is what it is.
Yeah.
That by quarter three, interest rates may go down.
Hmm.
Maybe. But then he also said, look at interest rates based off of how they were looking like in 1980s and 1990s,
Yeah.
where they were double digits. So you
Yeah.
worried about 7%, you worried about 6%. But imagine you talk to someone who's a baby boomer and they're saying, I remember when interest rates were 12%, 18%. That's a
Absolutely.
different conversation.
I think.
Now, to your point though, I've while I've seen that argument, what about when people talk about is it a silent depression? That is because the cost of living has also went up.
Okay, absolutely. So, one of the things that came up in the conversation is he talked about Newton's third law, right? That every action has an equal reaction.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's slow it down. What happened in 2020?
The interest rates were below sub three or below three
They were
percent.
below three. Money was super cheap. What
Hmm.
else was happening?
People were getting a lot of money from the government.
People were getting a lot of money in the government. So whether stimulus or PPP or stuff, because since the pandemic slowed everything down, the government inserted, and he gave us a number.
Pumping a lot of money into the
I think he
government.
said trillion. It was definitely in the trillions.
You know, there was something. Jason had mentioned one time, he was like, if every black person who received $1 during the pandemic had just invested, took $1 and we collectively said together we're gonna do better, we would have probably changed our entire ecosystem.
Got to know better to do better. So the government inserted $6.4 trillion into the economy. So that is a lot of money in a small amount of time. And so when you have low interest rates, money being cheap, and you have economic stimulus, that's when you enter Disneyland. And that is exactly what happened. People were spending it all. People were going on trips.
But that's what I'm
People
saying. It's like we talk about gotta like know better to do better. When do we actually enforce the conversation for that? Is it a pain threshold? Is it not enough opportunity? Do we not
No,
know
there's
about the opportunity?
opportunity. We have to stop saying that. We have to stop saying, first of all, you are responsible for knowing better. So, whatever that means for you, you have to do that. We're having this conversation. It hopefully will help you know better. Hopefully, you'll build relationships with people that will help you know better. Hopefully, you will read a book that will help you know better. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but you are responsible for your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is opportunity everywhere. And when you understand the data or when you understand what's happening in the world around you, you're able to take advantage of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first thing that I thought about as I'm listening to him talk about number one, the number of people that are relocating to Houston, the type of economy that we have in Houston. So we're pretty incubated, meaning that even if oil and gas drop, we still have healthcare. Even if healthcare drops, we still have transportation logistics. Even if that drops, we still have tech and uh, innovation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We still have industries, so that way that's not going to happen. So I'm thinking to myself, so if you have more people, supply and demand, what happens?
One of them have to not one of them have to drop, but I mean,
If I have more people moving into the city,
right.
what happens to the demand of our housing?
Oh, it goes up.
It goes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last month we talked about the three indicators that I look at when getting a glance snapshot of the market, and that was the median and average sales price, the months of inventory, and the days of on market. So currently, Houston has about 3.5 months of inventory, meaning that if nobody else put their house on the market, if no builders built anything, we'd run out of homes in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I compared it to like if you're selling t shirts, if you have, 50 people outside and only 10 shirts, you can charge what you want. If you got crickets at your event and you brought 50 shirts and it's 5 people
It's
there,
gonna be a long day.
it's gonna be a long day. You're gonna be doing all kind of price reductions and stuff like that. That's the difference between buyer's market, seller's market. 3.5 months of inventory is a balanced market. It's actually what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
There's
again,
room for negotiation. Yeah.
it's room for it's just opportunity. It's just a balanced market. We want balanced
Mm-hmm.
markets, right? We don't want them in like the pandemic. Like the pandemic, I remember there were moments in the pandemic where we had 0.7 months of inventory. I think pink was maybe like 1.3 months of inventory. So again, when money is cheap and you only have less than a month of inventory, you have $80,000 80,000 people moving into Houston and the rates are 3% or 2%. That's why you saw people overbidding,
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody is making a decision about, here's the thing about real estate. Sometimes I think we can overcomplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a home when you need to buy a home. You got a family, you're relocating, they're going to buy it regardless of what it is, because that's just what needs to happen next. You sell a home when you need to sell a home. You need more space, you need to downsize, there's an opportunity to capitalize on the equity, you want to reinvest it, you want to do something, right? It's logic makes you think, emotion makes you act. Most people, even though logically they know, I've got Gary Keller, State of the Market. He said 70% of homeowners have more than 50% of equity in their home.
Mm.
70% of homeowners have more than 50% of equity in their home. This is one of the reasons why I tell people market's not going to crash, because while you may be trying to hold out for top daughter, you got room to negotiate, right? You say, okay, if I sell my house at this number, I make $100,000. If I sell my house at this number, it's $90,000. You're not bringing money to the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it means when people have that much equity, right? When you take equity out of your house and you reinvest into like a second investment property
Right.
or commercial, whatever it is that you want to do, right? And so that's a lot. I just said a lot. If you were somebody watching this podcast right now, what would be the questions that you have off of what I just said?
I mean, if it's me, I'd be like, what do I need to do? Like, I understand the general overview, but I think it's like, I think it's, I don't want to say it's easier to maybe think of self, but it's like, well, based off of my circumstances, based off of my situation,
So
what
what do
do
you need
I
to do?
need to do? Oh, I'm asking a question. So I think if I'm thinking out loud, right, and I'm saying, well, that's all fine and dandy. I understand that in migration, I understand that the exports and import, I understand that restaurants and certain hotels are still gonna continue to flourish. That's great and all. That sounds like big business, but what do I need to do right now? And I think, as I'm thinking about it, it's just get in where you can fit in.
Absolutely. And so I picked out like four things that you can do. Boss, I love that you said that. I think four things that you can do. Number one, you can invest and buy your primary property. Why? Because Houston ain't going back. You got all these people moving here, so
Hmm.
you can secure your mask. I just said the price is going to go up, so you can secure your own mask first and buy your primary property. It is what it is. It's kind of like when people say, "Oh man, if I would have bought a home in the '70s, you know." Homes in the '70s in Third Ward was $70,000. Both my parents graduated from Texas Southern University. Shout out. My mom, I told her that. She was like, yeah, but I ain't had $70,000. So don't look back at markets and think that you would have done differently
Hmm.
because your circumstance would have been different, right? One day she told me, she was like, yeah, crack houses was $1, but I ain't have a dollar.
Crack houses was $1, but I didn't have $1.
Are we allowed to say that on our show? It is our show. I don't know, but that's just the conversation that I
Crack
had,
houses.
right? So that's number one. You can secure your personal economy. You can buy your primary residence, put your own mask on first, start taking advantage of the fact that home values will be continuing to increase. Number two, you can pay attention to the fact that so many people that are moving to the city, they're going to need a place to live,
Hmm.
and you can become an investor. You can start building that portfolio so that way you are now adding cash flow to your personal economy. So that way you're starting to incubate all of the changes in the economy. It's like, okay, but I know I have this much coming in every month. You start to let your assets pay for your liabilities. You want that trip? Okay, you got 10 rental properties. They just paid for your trip wherever you want to go.
Right.
Okay. Number three, because of all the commercial opportunities, you can start thinking, strategically from a business perspective. What type of land, commercial strips, or apartment building should I be looking at to grow my net worth and build wealth?
Right.
Or number four, you can just rent.
But either way, you made a decision.
Either way, you made a
And I
decision.
think that's why the biggest question, when in the last like 45 days, I've been asking myself, what type of life do I want to live? And when I ask myself that, it then probes you to ask, okay, what do I then need to do to accomplish that life
Right.
or to
Because
reach that life?
it kind of goes back to what we were talking about in regards to like whose life are you living and how do you know based off of the decisions that you make and the actions that you take. Life doesn't happen to us. And if it does, you are at the mercy of somebody else. Something that I talk, first of all, let me just say this. We talk about, we're talking big, but at the end of the day, this always comes back to you, right?
Right.
One thing I kind of just not clear on though is when people complain about, for example, rent or their landlord or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And then also people get on the internet and the only thing they say is that the price is up. Why do you think that applies to you and not everybody else? Everybody is thinking the price is going up. Everybody is cushioning their own personal economy.
Facts.
So to me, it's like, why are you
Facts.
relying on the grace and the mercy of somebody that you don't know to cut you a break?
To then also to cut you a check, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no easy hand, there's no
Cut you a break
handouts.
or cut you a check. Like I feel like we're learning. I mean, I just feel like, we're moving into an era where people are realizing that you got to do for self. You can't really, and that's why I say um wealth number one is abundance in all areas.
Hmm.
It's not a number. Okay. It's about knowing what your personal mission is, what your personal like is for your life. Why are you here? What is your purpose for a living. And once you figure that out, then you can figure out how much money do I need to do that thing. And if that thing is $40,000 a year, then you are wealthy because you are funding your purpose on why you're here. If you want to save the whales and it takes $5 million to save the whales, then that is what the number is that you need. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, why are you here? What is your purpose? Right. And then from there, you can just make decisions that feed into that. And so, wealth equals abundance. And then the pathway to wealth is through strategic business and real estate ownership.
Like you just said, ownership and equity. So I need a piece of this.
Ownership and equity.
I need a piece of this.
You need a business.
I no, I need a business and I need a piece of this.
I think this is when you start negotiating. One of the so let me okay, pause. Can we talk about some? Who's your favorite? Who is your favorite business person? Like hip hop or like from the culture,
From the culture,
and why?
I would say J. Cole, Jermaine Cole, Cole World. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because I remember listening to Friday Night Lights, and then as time evolved, you know you're listening to Revenge of the Dreamers, then you're just listening to all these different type of albums. But like as he progressed, like Born Sinner, but as he progressed, you just noticed, and he went ghost for a little bit, right? But what was he doing? He was building his company. He was
Mm-hmm.
building his label. Then
Mm-hmm.
when he popped out, you're like, you get all these labels. Where you get all these artists from?
Yeah.
And every single one of them can stand on their own.
Yeah.
But then they want to work with him. It was just collaboration at the highest level, ownership, and strategic partnership. Everybody was, they're all eating.
You you pay attention. You start to pay attention to that, right? So there are a couple of people that I just fly on the wall. If you guys need an intern, I will take your notes. I'm that person, right? I'm if the opportunity big enough,
Mhm,
money's not an issue.
mhm.
Okay. In absence of value, price becomes the focus. If the value is strong enough, I'll donate my time. Jay-Z. I saw something, and he was just I just watched the way he moves,
Mhm,
like, and when I talk about moves, I'm not talking about lyrics. I'm talking about like investments, right? And one time that he was talking about, he owns a champagne or
mhm.
something, and he partnered with the top champagne. I don't know the full story, Jay. Please don't, you know, tag me or add me. But I remember you saying that you partnered with like the top champagne company out of France, right? Because they had the systems, they had the tool, they knew how to go ahead and get this done like that, right?
Right,
So he was saying that it was better for him to get a small percentage of this thing than to try to do 100% of himself.
right.
Something that I notice with wealthy people is that they understand the equity.
And it's big. There was something about even say Rihanna, how Rihanna went from like, it's not like she went to 0 to 100, but she definitely went from like 10, 20 million to like a billion
And
in
that
like a
happened after
couple years,
partnerships, though.
like strategic partnership.
Her wealth started to compound and capitalize once she started getting into business partnership with the right people.
But see, back to what you're saying is like business partnership with the right people. So now I think it does come back to what questions are we asking for the partnerships we desire.
Yeah, I think, and the only way you're going to know that is like, what are you being exposed to? So, once upon a time, my first job, I'm not telling on myself, was 5.15 an hour. I called my and I got tips. I was work. My first job was at Sonic. I was a car hop. I was making 5.15 an hour, and I got tips. So not only was I getting a check every day, I was coming home with cash. And I remember one day I was like, "Mama, I mean, I might be making a little bit like more than you." My mom looked at me like
Whoa.
I was crazy, right? She was like, "Bless my child," like. But I'm like 15. I don't have no expenses. I just got cash stacking, right? That was a win for me.
Hmm.
I was making check, right? As I grew and as I got, exposed to ways you can make money,
Hmm.
I started learning about equity. I started learning about profit share. I started learning about dividends. I started learning about cash flow. I started learning about there is more points to negotiating this deal than just your paycheck.
Facts.
So I think when you're talking about what questions should I be asking people, well, first you have to be around people, and that's going to take some humility, right? Because not everybody's going to, I can't probably walk up to Jay and be like, yo, Jay, how did you structure that Rockefeller deal? You know what I'm saying? How did you guys get all these partnerships? But when you look at the Carter Empire, when you look at the work that Beyonce is doing and how she negotiates the rights to her performances and then turns them into screen deals.
Screenplays, yeah. It's a big business though.
It's a big
It's a
business.
big business.
It's a big business, and it just all comes down. So again, no matter what it is that you're trying to do, I know we're talking about like just hip hop and stuff like
But
that.
it's there's similarities, I think, in the game. If we're just simply talking about ownership and wealth building, I do think there's similarities. Whether it's music, whether it's entertainment, whether it's real estate, whether it's business, whether it's service based, brick and mortar, production, content, like it's all there's all similarities in this.
You know, one of the reasons why I got into real estate, I shared a story, is because before I got into real estate, I was 25. I was 25 years old. Graduated from University of Houston. Go Cougs! I'm always shouting out people. I just love
Yeah,
spread love,
sponsorships,
spread
sponsorships,
love to give love. Yes, yes.
sponsorships.
Um. So I was bartending, and my degree is in psychology. So overnight, I was working at a treatment center. I was bartending, and then I was also working retail at the Galleria. So I had a lot of energy. I was a lot like you. I was just having a million jobs, going, going, going. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm at the House of Blues, and one day and at this time, Million Dollar Listing was popular. It was like
Hmm.
new reality show. I remember a friend was like, "You sell polos, you could probably sell houses." I was like, "You're right, I
That's
could."
yeah, that's
So I
smart.
just started taking my classes.
Hmm.
I'm at House of Blues Wednesday. Anybody that works in industry can relate to this. I had done a double. It was slow. Second shift came and I got a bad section. I was already kind of here with my
Damn.
patients. And I grabbed a sheet of paper. I went to the back. I said, wrote a 2 weeks, and I gave it to the manager. The next day, I was like, oh my goodness. And I tried to take it back, but my manager was like, nah, you good.
Yeah, that's good.
We're going to go ahead and honor that 2 weeks,
That's
right?
good. What it say? God closed all doors I'm not meant to walk through.
I tell people all the time, thank you so
Shut
much
up.
for that no, because that no forced me into real estate because I
Right.
couldn't go back, right? And so, one of the things that the reason why that bothered me, because this was back in like 2008, 2009. So there was another recession that was going on. They were cutting my commission at the store I was working at in the mall.
Hmm.
I was getting less hours bartending. It was just weird. I did not, but I was performing top performance, right?
Hmm.
It's like, how am I the top seller and then my pay get cut?
Not making no
I had
money.
an issue with that. I don't have no problem with my income being my income, but I want to be in control of it. Like I
Hmm.
want to be the one to blame. I don't want somebody telling me this is the most that you can make.
Hmm.
So that's why I made the decision to get into real estate. It was being able to take control of my own personal accountability, economy. Right, you are responsible at the end of the day.
100%.
If what you're doing isn't working, find something else to do.
I like that though. What you just said is something else. But I think it's also like, what type of game are you playing though? Because I really had to realize if I keep selling all these products for someone else, I will not be living the life I want to live.
Absolutely, because they get to control it, especially if, like you said, you haven't negotiated some type of ownership or something where you rise, right? And it may not start on day one, but what's the vision? What's the question that you ask people when going into partnership? What is the vision?
What is the mission?
What is the mission?
Better yet, what are your values?
Mission, vision, values, belief, purpose.
Hmm.
Those are what you want. Mission, vision, values, belief, purpose. That's what you want to ask people, because money comes and
And
goes.
don't take it lightly either, because you know what, because in terms of collaboration or partnership, there's been numerous times where you can sit in certain meetings and you'll sit there for 30 minutes to an hour. And then when the meeting is done, you say, okay, what's next? What are the action items? You get the action items. And then after a month goes by, 2 months go by, you're like, what have we done? What have you accomplished? What
Yeah.
is next?
I think it's really important to listen to what people say. Like listen, like without
And what they
judgment,
show you, yeah.
without interpreting, like people's subconscious will tell on them. Right? You can't That's why I say sometimes people say
Body language. Body language too.
body language too.
They feel uneasy because you said, hey, what is gonna be what's the commission structure? Then they
They shy away.
yeah,
And I think that also comes from just asking better questions and just asking
yes.
them, right? The right person, the right giant for you. I say giant because that's the person that, we stand on the shoulder of our giants, right? So,
Mhm.
number one, this is not a conversation about succeeding alone. I don't believe that, Randy. I don't believe that you believe that. This is about you getting in alignment and finding your giant. So that way, That's how we compound. Sometimes people, I feel like we knock the people that came before us, and it's like, why are you trying to relearn wisdom that they already got? You could be so much. We don't always have to keep starting at square one.
Mm,
We can. So number
hmm.
one is, if you're with the white giant, you should be able to ask great questions. No, it's not. For example, people always want mentors. It's not your mentor's responsibility to spoon feed you information. I see that a lot, especially like just in industry, people coming into the
For
industry.
real estate, they say I want to get my real estate
It's
license. I
always
tell you,
somebody else's
I tell
fault.
you, this is what you got to do to get your license. Then they say that sounds good. Then you're like, all right, where you at with that? I'm almost done. It's like I wish I had. I didn't have nobody pushing me to get my license.
Yeah, I
I
didn't either.
I just sat there and it was just me and it was like I see my family and I'd be like, damn, I got to get back to work. I'm not working enough.
I think what we're saying is you gotta get on it about your own life. Like, stop, because again, you hear stuff and you'll be like, well, my team didn't do this, my broker didn't do this, the economy was that, this is that. It's like, what type of ownership did you take in regards to getting around the right people and knowing how to ask the right questions? The only way you get better at asking questions is asking questions. But what were you doing, right? Because I don't know what you don't know.
That is true. No, I let
I'll
people
answer whatever you ask me, but Randy, I don't know what you don't know.
just let them know. Just be like, I'm not sure at this moment and sit in it. And
And
then,
even not being sure is okay.
as
And
long as you're seeking,
also,
as long as you're seeking the answer though.
it's probably better for you to not be sure. Just like I said with the conversation that we had this morning, he was, first of all, going very fast and talking at a very high level about all of Houston, not just real estate. So there were some gaps in my understanding. Yet the simple fact I was exposed to it,
You learn through osmosis too.
y-
I mean, I'd say,
it
or like,
not osmosis when you're asleep.
no, no, osmosis is a thing.
I know
Os-
it's a thing.
I'm not saying osmosis
Hey,
is.
y'all Google osmosis. No,
Stop
don't
lying.
y'all
Nah,
Google
stop.
osmosis, because I feel like
Osmosis is not
osmosis
when you
means,
sleep. It's both in the environment when you're conscious and when you're asleep.
okay.
I'm gonna Google it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so
Nah, cause
Randy's
what we
gonna
not what we
Randy's
not
gonna
going to
defend
do.
why it's okay to listen to anything while you're sleeping,
Not
and
anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I said, don't worry about it. Us.
but you grow into the conversations around you is basically what we're trying to say. And so, just coming back to all of that and just really helping you guys make a decision about what it is that you want to do for your own personal economy.
You can say that osmosis, a subtle or gradual absorption or mingling. He never studies but seems to learn through osmosis.
Okay, so you grow into the conversations around you.
Yes. We're saying the same. Yes.
I agree.
So wait, why'd you bring up sleep?
I mean, I've tried it. I'm
I
not
know
gonna
just I know what
lie.
you're talking about. I know like you listen to the How to Be Rich podcast as you're going to sleep, then you like wake up and didn't get no notification.
Raise your hand
Damn.
if you've ever listened to like affirmations when you sleep, so you can subconsciously like
Then you wake up like I ain't do nothing
watch
all
this
day.
YouTube video when you sleep, so you could be wealthy. Y'all,
That's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. But what I
the
that you
truth will
do
set you free.
the and then the work that you put in will also then compound over a long enough period of time.
So you got to read the book and listen to the book while you're sleeping.
You gotta go take action on the material that you read.
Take action.
Massive execution, extreme execution.
Oh, this is why we're different. Randy believes in massive execution. I believe in the slight yet significant steps.
Damn, told on myself, didn't
No,
I?
listen,
I
listen,
Cause
listen,
for
because
real, I really be like, hey, I'm gonna keep shooting it. But here's the thing though, I could keep shooting in one direction though.
absolutely, because
But I'm taking massive action. I'm gonna,
time
yeah.
after task over time, and also because sometimes I think there's this idea that you have to like do really big things for your world to change, right? Like, oh, I want to lose weight, so then you cut out every living single thing that you love and go on this hyper diet, and then you crash. Whereas a slight yet significant step could be, I'm going to drink a gallon of water today.
I think you know what I think. I think it depends on where that person is at. Because it's like if I say I want massive change in my life, a slight yet significant action will compound over a long enough period of
Yes.
time. But I'm like, if I do massive action, but I don't look to burn out with it, or I define it differently in my activities, I believe I can still make progress.
And I don't think there's a wrong one. Something that Patrick said is he talked about,
Mm.
for example, he was talking about the real estate market, and he was comparing it to Usain Bolt, and then I'm not sure the other gentleman's name.
Yeah, he had a very specific name.
But
Let
he's
me.
like the number one marathon runner, right? So if
Yes,
you look at the type of races that Usain runs, it's 100.
elude.
Who?
That's why he ain't seen. That's why he ain't bring up his name. He said elude Kipo Kipkoji Kipjogi.
We respect you, sir.
Hey, to be honest, but to her point is what he's saying is that 2020 to 2023 was a sprint. Usain Bolt is one of the greatest 100-meter, 200-meter dash
Right? So
racers.
he can run really fast for short periods of time, and he's
Mhm,
excellent at it. He's
mhm.
an Olympic. He's Olympic
Oh, it's
gold
2021.
medalist,
Yeah.
multi Olympic gold medalist. Yet
Mhm,
his races, they're short and they're quick, right? And they're speedy, they're fast, and so that's what we saw like during the pandemic. It was short. We were appreciating really fast. Huge equity gains, huge market gains, price jumps. However, that's not sustainable. We can't Usain Bolt can't run like that forever, right? That's why they're short distances.
mhm.
On the flip side, the other gentleman, he is excellent in marathons and pacing, right?
Mm,
And so he runs a very long distance for a very long time. And he was like in his 40s, like he's
yeah, and
he's
he's still
killing it.
killing
He's
it.
getting gold medals and just winning. However, that's more of a paced out thing.
Mhm.
Okay, so what he's the reason why we share that as an example is that in real estate, what we're looking for is steady appreciation. In general, what the government is looking for is like annual 4% appreciation in sales prices. That's good. When you have markets like the pandemic where they're appreciating 17% year over year, that is not sustainable. That is why interest rates went up, because the Fed was like, we have to slow this down. People keep saying, when are they going to slow down? When are they going to bring down interest rates? Do you know what they look at, Randy? Consumer spending. So you
It's
y'all
a
not
trap
y'all are not giving them evidence to believe
because you're
that
blowing a bag on
that
nothingness,
you've learned your lesson, right?
on
Because
nothingness. This we need to do better.
it just goes back. It's like you're saying, like, man, the price is so high, but you're still taking trips, you're still going out to eat. All of the industries that I mentioned is they're all thriving, right? So the Fed is like, there's still too much money. Let's keep the prices high. Now we're stable, but that just is going back again to, we don't want super appreciating markets. Oh, I bought a house and in 6 months it's $50,000 equity. That is not sustainable. We want steady growth.
Over a long enough period of time, you'll still win. You'll still eat. You'll
Absolutely.
still eat.
You'll still eat. You'll still eat. So talking about eating, we talked about sellers a lot this week.
Mhm.
We're starting to have more conversations with sellers, why they should sell, if they should sell. First, what are your thoughts?
If you need to sell your home, do it. Wait, nah, but run the numbers. If the numbers make sense and you're motivated enough or in enough pain, sell your home.
Absolutely. And it's not always pain, right? It's just motivation. What is your motivation? Like, do we always ask people, like, why are you selling your home? Do you need more space? Do you need to move? Do you need to relocate? There are plenty of reasons. It's not always pain. Do you need Sometimes it is.
I
Pain,
think
most people make a decision from pain versus pleasure. And I would love to say that we make decisions based on what pleasure, but we usually don't. We usually make decisions from
and
pain.
that's probably why it's so easy for me to be like, are they in enough pain? Because I like
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to, because I get it. Let's not always look to make a decision from pain. But the thing is that if it's gonna take you enough pain for you to take action, so be it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think, like,
Like, so be it.
so for example, with the seller, right? Say for example, person for whatever reason just needs to get out of their mortgage.
Let's role
Okay.
play it.
That's huh?
Let's role play it.
What's role play it? Oh my
Let's
gosh.
role play it. What does it look like? What does it look?
I
You know
told
what?
y'all last week that we be having script practice at 7 in the morning. Sister,
Let's role play it.
okay,
What does
go
it
on.
look like? Please enlighten me. Well, I will enlighten the seller. I'm
Okay.
ready.
You want to be who?
I will be the agent. I need all the objections. I need them.
Okay.
I need them. Oh, okay. Ring, ring,
Go ahead.
ring, ring, ring.
Hey,
Wait. Good afternoon.
we didn't
I
plan
no,
for
look,
this.
look, look, look. Okay, never mind.
We didn't plan for this.
Never
Go ahead.
mind. Look, but help me understand. Why do you want to sell your home?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I do. I want what I want is money.
All right, but
I mean, I thought about it. Maybe I sell, maybe I don't. Just depends on what the numbers look like.
then let's talk about it. I mean, at one point in time, you were interested in selling your property. So help me understand what is your motivation as to why you listed it the first time.
I want a bigger house.
Oh, perfect. 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 When do you plan on moving?
I don't know.
Do you need a bigger home because your family is growing, or is it just because you feel as if it's time for you to get more space?
I want more space.
You know what? I think we need to do a formal consultation.
And that's why we encourage you guys to book a consultation, is because I'm actually not being dramatic. That's
This is
usually
really the
how people respond.
conversations. People are
But
dry.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think it comes down to, like, just to focus, is that people move when they have to.
Right.
If you're comfortable, chances are you won't, because there's no reason to, regardless of what kind of equity you have, opportunities you have. A lot of times we'll hear objections, is what we basically just call them, based on, because the rates are high or anything like that. However, you know, if you are a seller that is looking to downsize, family is growing,
Hmm.
getting married, getting divorced. Usually, real estate follows a life event.
Right.
You're having a baby, you're having twins, you're having triplets, something like that. You need more space. It's why people buy too. Um, that's what's going to, at the end of the day. That's why I say you can't really. You can. That's why I said logic makes you think, and emotion makes you act. Logically, it may make sense for you to sell. Emotionally, you're not gonna do it until your wife is 8 months pregnant and she's
Hey, we gotta go. You, we
you
gotta
want to know who
move.
the most motivated person in the world is?
A husband
A
who has
father. A father. I promise you. I promise. There's no motivation like a father. Father, if my wife
my
is
kids.
pregnant,
Yeah, my
my
kids gotta be
kids,
in a home
I
by.
want
Yeah,
my children in a safe school district. Most men are looking to protect their family. That comes to safety, security, stability. All it takes is for one bad incident in an apartment complex parking lot to say this. No,
done. Yeah,
because the men I know, that they're very protective, they're very diligent, they're providers. They just, safety, security, stability is usually when they lock in and focus. And also, usually they don't get that until like 7 month, 8 month pregnancy. But I've had them, they call me, they're like, we gotta go, we got to. So that whole 9 months and before of, we're thinking about moving, we're thinking about doing this, we're thinking about doing that, get a pregnancy test.
you move quick with the quickness.
You move with the quickness, but that's because now that pain, right?
It
Now
goes
that
back.
pain of not having enough space for the child and their stuff, and the house is over, that's when you'll do it.
But let me ask you then, why do we not normalize having a conversation around due diligence?
What do you mean?
Why not do it at month 3? So by month 8,
Because you
9,
think you have time.
that goes back to Parkinson's law.
Yes.
Isn't it more? Wouldn't okay? So from your experience, would it not then be more stressful to wait till month 7 to be like, I need a home?
It's not more mess. It's not more stressful. First of all, real estate is stressful. I'm gonna just tell y'all that, because I feel like too often we trying to say, like, oh, it's a great
Zero
time to
percent,
buy it.
yeah, 0%.
It's hard. Real estate's hard. It's hard to find a house. It's hard to get the. They talked about lending requirements
Oh,
for
yeah,
title.
yeah, yeah. All these, I had to keep on sending documents into underwriting. It's like that was a part of the
I
process.
say it's a part of the burning sands. Like, first of all, you know why most people don't own a home? Because it's not a sneaker.
Damn,
You
damn.
you can't just walk up. You can't just wake up one morning and say, "I want to buy a home," and then go buy a home. You have to file your taxes. You have to make sure you're paying down your debt, make sure that your credit score is right, have money to save and pay for the home, have a job that is you are earning enough income and claiming enough income. Shout out to the tax return people. Let's not claim a bunch of deductions, right? It's a process.
Hmm.
That's why home ownership is hard. If you don't wanna go through that, you know who makes it very easy?
Hmm.
Your landlord. $75 application fee. Come on in,
Come on
right?
in.
So, it's no shade. I'm not trying to be shady. I'm just trying to
No,
say
this is what it
people
is.
procrastinate hard things. It's just human nature. And
See,
so when you talk about why wait till month 7, it's because all work expands into the time allowed. So if you have a lease ending or if your baby is due or something like that, you gonna move with the quickness. But if you get the pregnancy test in the back of your mind, you're gonna be thinking like, we have some time. Let's just see what the market does. Maybe rates will come down. Maybe that perfect house will pop on the market.
hmm,
If you relocating, you got a job offer, you need to be here in 15 days. You coming down on the weekend, you getting it done. There are plenty of times we have clients and they're like, I'm coming in on the weekend, I need to find a house. And they find a house. And then you got some people, they've been looking for a house for 2 years. What's the difference? A deadline.
but I think it goes back to what type of life does that person want to live? Because the thing is, I will say that once you make up in your mind that I need to do X, Y, and Z, or this is what my future self requires me to be on, ownership, equity, partnership, just I need to have my portfolio together. Why would you wait? Like for me, for example, I used to have the limiting belief that people around my age of when I was 19 won't buy a home. Then it's ironic how in 2023 I reach out to my entire contact list and I have about 3 people say, or let's say 2 even, I bought a duplex or I own a home. And I'm like, damn, I had limiting beliefs the whole time. But really, if we had just talked about it, maybe
Okay.
they would have reached out to me.
I had a aha this morning. I was talking to somebody. I think we were talking about intention.
Yeah.
And regardless of the conversation, my takeaway was, are you speaking, not just thinking, your intentions?
Mm,
Are you speaking, not just thinking, your intentions? Because, right, the way that our goals come about, again, God ain't no mystery God. We make things airy fairy, right? Manifestation is not this mystery, silly thing that just happens in osmosis, right? You spoke something into existence,
and
and
it happened.
because of that, somebody was able to receive what you said and then able to help you. That is what happens, right? And so, whether it's you speaking about what you're able to help people do,
Mhm.
or others speaking and saying, I need help, that's how things come together.
Right.
Okay. And so, it was convicting for me because there are some things that I desire and want in my life. And I thought I was intentional about it. And then I said to myself, but did you tell them?
I'm saying over the last 60 days, when I said I'm gonna move with more intent, things just got clear.
But you also started speaking more. It wasn't
That
just,
is true.
it
No,
wasn't,
that is
it
true.
wasn't thinking.
No, I'm saying it out loud that I will be more intentional, or I ask like, "What is a man of God?" Like just
I mean,
chopping like this is just real stuff,
you tell me your intentions every morning.
and I'm gonna go do it.
And then you go do it, right? And that's why sometimes, and even speaking the intention, because I choose to believe people won't say no to their own goal. They won't say no to their own goal. They'll say no to the goal that I may have impressed upon them, but they won't say no to the goal that they set for themselves. And so that's another thing, right? Like I can say all of this data, I can talk all about Houston real estate market. This is just because this is my goal to build the net worth in our communities. It's my goal. So I'm going to talk about it so that way everybody can grow into the conversation. But until somebody else comes to me and says, I want to talk to you, I got a question. My wife is pregnant. We trying to, you understand?
So here's the thing though. If you're saying that people will not get in there, so now I think to play like an advocate, right, or to play the other side of the argument,
Angel's advocate.
angel's advocate. You know what I'm saying? I had to really, I had to wash myself. Angel's advocate. I like that. So in saying that, you know what, this is something that I want. This is something that I desire. However, what about people who put themselves in a position where they're going down their own downward spiral?
You got to stop loss. You got to stop loss. Okay. So,
Yeah.
I was thinking that oh,
Because people
okay.
do that. I'm
Oh,
serious. It's serious. Cause I like, you know how you watch people create their own downward spiral. They speak such beliefs over themselves that make zero sense. I'm like, I didn't say that,
well, see, it's kind of like,
and
because
you
number
said that
one,
over
there's
yourself.
hope. There's hope, right?
Yes, I
Hope,
believe hope is powerful,
hope, and
or faith.
delusion.
Faith. Well, yeah,
What did Cat say? To be confident and delusional is a powerful, and not delusional is a
yeah,
powerful skill. Okay,
yeah.
so there's hope and then there's delusion. So sometimes I think that you can be in a bad situation and you have not made a decision to get real and get right. And so sometimes this could be, it can be anywhere in your life. Um, I, I was saying the other day, like, what are your stop losses? Now, this is not a dating show, but I was saying, like, I'll tell you the reasons why I don't go on second dates with certain people, because they have said something that triggers a stop loss on my end.
Based off of their
I'm not going to continue to invest in this person
right.
because somewhere along the line they have said something that is not in alignment with what I want in my life. Instead of me continuing to go out with them for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years and hope that they grow and get it together. No.
Oh yeah,
No,
we not a
right?
year,
So I think it's the same way in our lives.
a
It's the
year.
same way in the stock market. You have certain I bought GameStop stock.
Don't say that.
No, 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 no. I made money too. It went up
Okay,
it went up a little bit.
a little bit.
And then I was like, so I took off my profit
Uh
and I
huh.
was like, let me ride that sucker.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie.
No, no,
When
no.
people, in terms of
But
investing,
listen.
you know what I've noticed. You know what I've noticed in terms of investing. When people catch that first or second L, because while I was overseas, I remember I was like, I'm finna trade. Boy, I lost $500 in the span of like 2 hours. I was impressed.
I
I stopped trading.
that was a stop
I
loss for
stopped.
you.
No, no, no. It was the account was gone.
But
There was no more money in the account.
sometimes you can be so invested in something that you're like, nah, man,
Mm-mm,
it's coming back. It's coming back.
mm-mm.
Is it? I got like three.
Business,
I still have 3 shares of GameStop. Like,
stop it.
oh no, man, one day it's gonna come back. Wall
Now,
Street bets they gonna come back. Them things is worth $6.42. And I,
what? Nah, you wild for that one. That's why
but no, but
you
I'm telling you,
you
people
see.
will hold on to a bad decision because they
Mm.
are afraid to cut their
All
losses.
right, goes back to Warren Buffett's. I'm not gonna lie. The quote made sense. Most people only need to make 4 to 5 great, like good decisions in their lifetime.
And sometimes that means stop doing what you're doing.
Stop it. You're done. Get it out of there. Relax, chill, ponder, meditate, do something else. Because the decisions you currently making are not serving you at your highest level. I'm telling you, when I'm distracted, I have people in my corner that says, "Bro, what are you doing? Look at you,
Yeah.
as grown as you is."
So if I were to say it's the beginning of the year, let's just do a well-being assessment, get well and get right. What would be some of the we talked about the economic indicators that we had earlier this morning. What would be your personal economic indicators for you to get real and get right on whether or not the things that you have been doing so far in your life are worth continuing or letting go?
I say first and foremost, two things. When I printed out my bank statements, I said that's crazy. But it wasn't crazy. It's what I spent my money on. The second is a profit and loss.
Okay,
And then
so
the third, a little bonus, is that be mindful of the conversations you're having. Like be conscious within these conversations.
I think
Conscious conversations. Oh, ooh,
so if I were to do a personal
conscious
assessment on
conversations.
my life, number
Hmm.
one, I'm always gonna look at, first of all, my mental well being. Like, am I happy?
What is happiness?
What is happiness? Do I wake up? I know
That's
that
something to
I
be.
no, I know that's simple,
No, it's as it should. I mean, but think
but
about it.
I've
It's a
been
big one,
open and transparent that I've had some really bad lows where I stayed in bed all day. So one of the things that I measure is, did you move today?
man.
Right. That's
That's
why I say
deep.
slice, yes, significant.
That's deep.
Sometimes it's not big. Um, Second thing that I look at are my relationships. Am I isolated? Am I on an island? Right? Do I have somebody that I can call? in
Mhm.
real life. I'm not talking about social media,
Mm-mm.
DMs, and all that stuff.
Mm-mm.
If I'm going through something, do I have somebody that I can talk to? Then I'm look spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically, mentally, financially. Am I bouncing checks?
I didn't want to laugh, but like,
These are just real things.
no, it's
Like
serious. But
I'm just trying to listen. I'm just trying to be relatable to you guys.
I'm not gonna lie. No, it's
If
not
you're
the bounce.
doing something
I
and you have to
that
change
now I
it.
feel like that was not my intent. If the check bounces, the check bounces. We just got to do better.
It happens. It happens. Yet then you have to ask yourself, okay, so why did that happen? Am I going
Where's the
out too
check
much?
coming
Am
from?
I not paying
Yeah.
attention to my budget? Am I swiping
Did
my
the card?
card and
Yeah.
not
Did the card get
reconciling?
declined?
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah. I
saying?
know. I
So
know.
there's a reason, but a overdraft or a bounce track is a lag measure. So there are lead measures and lag measures. Okay.
That's
So
good.
what is a lead measure? A lead measure is how much money do you make and how much money do you spend? What's a lag measure? Did you end the month in a red? Did you end the month in the black? Like it's not. It's just really simple, you know. And so I think if you like break it down to this, and so then you have to say to yourself, what you're doing isn't working. I understand you and your soft life, sis, but all these vacations and travels that you're doing, going to brunch every weekend and all this different type
Sunday
of
fun
stuff
day.
is not benefiting your personal economy. Your credit cards are high, your bank account is low. This is just not emotional. This is just facts. I'm just talking to you because I love you. Like this is what I say when we need to get real and get right. Have some conversations that matter because the numbers don't lie. And if you look at it and you hear statistics that say 70% of Americans have less than $500 in a case of emergency, then somewhere there ain't a truth being told. You can't have everybody on social media living their glamorous life and then have economic data that says the world is broke.
Mm. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie.
So, talking about numbers, we were talking about sellers and the type of numbers that you should be paying attention to. I think that it's really important that we pay attention to making sure that when you're making a financial decision, that you have wise counsel to educate you about what that looks like. That way, because here's the thing, regardless of what Randy and I are talking about, your personal economy may say sit still, right? Wait this out. And I think as a seller, what that looks like is number one, you want to know like, well, how much equity do I have? What is the value of my home? And you want to talk to a professional, not go to a website, not go to get like a Zestimate or anything like that. Talk to somebody that can help you understand specifically what is being sold in your neighborhood. Real
Hmm.
estate is local, right? So whatever's happening in any city in America does not apply to what is happening in your specific neighborhood. So, Randy, you want to talk to a professional that's going to have that conversation with you up front, educate you about why they recommended the price that they're even presenting you. Same thing as a buyer. Have a professional run the comps on the neighborhood. This is why, I talk about real estate, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I talk about representation a lot and the reason why we even have realtors. And the reason why we have realtors is because once upon a time, people used to screw people over.
And they
They
still
tell,
do.
and they still do. And they used to say, "Oh, this this cup for you, $100. This cup for you, $1 million." And you didn't know because you didn't know how much cups were selling for.
Right.
That's why we get so upset in our communities when somebody bought grandma's house for 10 cents on the dollar. And you want to get mad at real estate professionals. And I say, but did you work with the realtor? Because only realtors are ethically bound to have a fiduciary responsibility to protect your interests above theirs. And a lot of times people are having conversations with investors or whoever, whoever is out here talking fast, and then and it just, oh, I get so passionate about it because it's like
You chose someone
we
who, yeah,
devalue
yeah,
professionals that have responsibility, and then we
to
get the
uphold a
okey
standard.
doke from hustlers that that
Made it
that
sound
rob
good.
you of your equity.
They
It's
made it sound good too. So because they made it sound good, you chose to work with them, and then you found out on the back end. You thought it was sweet.
you don't know you're
You
with a
thought it
weak
was
agent
sweet
until it's too late.
until your house sells, and you like, damn, how much money did I really make?
right? And so it's just like, and again, every situation is different. Sometimes it just is what it is. Money does not motivate everybody. Some people's motivation is they need it gone because it's a liability. Because while I may not be able to make what I want to make from the house, I can't keep paying for this house. I can't keep paying for this taxes. This is why I say sometimes you need to sell grandma's house.
Hmm.
I know that we don't like to talk about that, but real estate is not meant to be a shackle. It's meant to be a tool. And so sometimes you need to go ahead and cut the losses so that way you don't have expenses going out like taxes for a property that you guys are not maintaining or visiting, and go ahead and sell that, come to an agreement within your family and disperse whatever that net profit is, and then take that to go invest into something else. Take that profit or whatever that was, and then you guys use that as a down payment for your next house. Grandma is not supposed to carry every generation.
Damn, that's real.
She's not.
That's real. And I think like letting it really marinate to say that what is necessary for you and your family to live the type of life that you guys family legacy meetings. Let's
Absolutely.
normalize it. And also take a moment to thank our sponsors today.
I just wanted to say the reason why we're so passionate is because today our sponsor is Team Do What We Do. Thank you so much for the merch. And it just really comes down to that. Who you rocking with and what are you guys gonna do? And are you a man or woman of your word?
And also honor the relationships that you're in because you never know who's gonna change your life.
I love it. So it's been a
Thank
great
you
conversation.
for another high level conversation. Bet with T Craig.
Bet on T Craig. Like, subscribe, share this with
I
somebody
said
you know,
bet with T Craig, dear
and even
Lord.
someone you don't. We love y'all. See y'all next week.